Reverend Kevin Miles, and we're going to talk to him about a couple things. About he's doing some amazing things, and he's changing people's lives. And we just want to kind of get some insight on who is Kevin Miles and what he's about, and some of the things that he's doing for the community. You all know him. He's a part of the courtesy department in the church. He's also a great Samaritan, a good Samaritan out there changing people's lives and doing things for other people. So we just want to ask him a couple of questions to kind of get insight on what his life is like on the daily. We're glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
So a lot of people wants to know, like, because of course your life is just amazing. Like you've been through so many things. You talk about trauma. You've been through accidents, and you've been through so many different aspects in your life, and people just wants to get an idea of who are you? What are you about? What do you do? So the question is this: who is Kevin Miles?
I am a child of God, and I try to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ as much as I possibly can. Even through every day of my life, even through my job. People here call me the Rev. Even on my job, they call me the Rev.
So they call you the Rev.
Oh, yes.
Okay. But that's probably a good reputation to have, right?
It definitely is.
But let me ask you this. What is courtesy to you?
Courtesy would be being like a good Samaritan, being someone that could reach out to the community, that could better someone's life. Those that have fallen on hard times know that there's someone out there that can be able to help pick them up a little bit.
Now, is the courtesy more in-house, or is it more so outside? Like, do you do courtesy as far as the inside of the church, or do more so outside?
I would say both.
Okay.
I would say both.
Okay. Elaborate on that.
Because you want to reach your immediate family, your church family. You want to make sure that your family is okay, the same as making sure that your blood family is okay. Your church family is just as much your family. My church family, through some of the things I was going through in life, has been there more for me than some of my actual blood family. So you definitely want to take care of family all the time. My church, House of God Church, is an amazing church. They brought me in as one of their own. From the first day that I met my pastor, Pastor Taylor, she met me in a homeless shelter that I was in. She knelt down at my cot and prayed with me when I was going through health problems. And she invited me to church. No matter what I was wearing, I didn't have much to wear. And I was having so many health problems. But my pastor, she wasn't my pastor yet, but my pastor said, come as you are. And they treated me like family from the day I met her, and the day that I met everyone in church. I've never felt more at home than I do with the House of God Church.
My understanding is that you were once in law enforcement?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I was a police officer for about 9.5 years for Baltimore City, until I got hurt on the job. The injuries that left me confined to a wheelchair, and traumatic brain injury with having grandma seizures every single day. And
Every day?
every single day. I didn't go a day without having seizures. Some days it would be one seizure. Some days it would be 10, 20 seizures a day. And I'm telling you, it's nothing but God that got me through that.
Wow.
And literally, the church that I was going to before House of God actually told me not to come back because I disturbed their church service having a seizure in the church.
You were told to leave the church because you were having seizures, you were disturbing the church?
Yes. And
Wow.
to me, that's
Wow.
not a true Christian.
Wow.
To me, I mean,
That had to hurt.
Yes. My son was young at the time. I took my son out. My son didn't understand why we had to leave. Dad was having a health problem. And why does that stop you from praising God? Why does that stop you from hearing His word? But according to them, I was disturbing their church time.
Wow.
And it's not something that I could have physically helped. Seizure come on without much of a notice. And they said, well, I should have just stayed home and just read my Bible at home or listened to it on TV or whatever.
Oh,
and
wow.
if I'm going to have seizures out in public, I don't belong in public. It's basically what the church at that time told me.
So the church is telling you where you belong.
And
Wow.
my God told
Wow.
me that's not where I belong then. And when Pastor Taylor invited me to a church, then Elder Chris Coffey used to give me a ride to church every day. He used to come pick me up and give me a ride to church. And sometimes I would have a seizure in his car coming to church.
Wow.
We pulled over. Well, I mean, he pulled over. We waited until I came back to enough, and then we would continue going to church.
So I've been told that there's a phrase that you have. It's pretty much a famous phrase that says nothing but God.
Yes,
And that's your phrase. So I have to ask you, what does that phrase mean to you?
means nothing but God, meaning I didn't wake up today because of my lung. I don't have this job because of man, nothing but God. Everything, every minute, every second in my day is nothing but God. And nothing but God has brought me as far as I am today. When man said I wouldn't make it this far, when man even said that I wouldn't even live, when man even said I wouldn't walk, nothing but God.
Wow. That's powerful.
Nothing but God.
So when you saying that to, let's say, a person who doesn't know God,
What?
how do you convey that phrase to them?
I say to them, if God can do it for me, God can do it for you. And I share with them many things I've been through. I've been through having the cancer, taking chemo and radiation. Nothing but God.
Wow.
Nothing but God. When man said, you ain't gonna make it, and I share with someone that says that they're having a rough day, I said, well, there's always someone else out there that's having a worse day than you are. Be thankful that you're here today. And if they complain about the job that they're doing, be thankful that you have a job. And I even relay to all my employees here. They all refer to me as Webb here, and I let them know that it's nothing but God that still has them having a job. It's not because their manager Kevin hasn't fired them yet. No.
Right.
It's, I mean, and they're doing an awesome job, but it's nothing but God.
Wow. That's amazing. And I think a lot of people can definitely benefit from that. You inspire so many people. You inspire so many things in your life that are just overwhelmingly changing, and people flock to that. So that phrase, nothing but God, seems to be the one that brings you home.
Amen.
That's your promise.
Oh yes.
And that's something that you live by, and that's important to have. I think that's very, very important to have. A lot of people have goals and intentions, but it never lasts because they don't have any foundation to stand on.
Right.
And that phrase, it seems like that's kind of like the saving grace. That is the Holy Grail, if you will.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That's what keeps you going. So when everything else fails, but God.
Yes. Definitely. Man may fail you, but God won't. God will never fail you. So yes, nothing but God.
Wow. And my condolences to your cousin.
Yes, sir.
I heard that he was a very, very important person to what you've been doing as far as the food pantry. So if he was here right now, what was something that you would want to say as your last words?
His name was John. We used to call him JL.
JL.
Because we had so many Johns in our family.
Mm-hmm.
So we nicknamed him JL. He actually worked here I actually got him a job here at my job here at Dave & Buster's.
Mm-hmm.
He worked here for about 2 years washing dishes. But he also worked with me, volunteered with me at my pantry many times. He helped me unload truck for food, helped me unload empty boxes to the dump.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I thanked him enough. He was an awesome guy. He would literally give you the shirt off his back.
Wow.
I mean literally. He said he would actually go into the woods with me and help me feed these families in there. He said his parents told me that I inspired him to be more of a kinder person than what he ever grew up to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that him hanging around me got him to know the Lord Jesus Christ even more.
Wow.
I get to the dump and some of the guys there, they know me because I come there every week and take empty boxes from my food pantry there. And one of the first things they asked me, they said, where's the guy that's always with you? And they said, what was his name, John? I said, yeah, he's not here. And then they said, well, tell him I said, and then I took and explained to him that he passed away.
Wow.
It was just, it was very hard even today, going out and doing that without him, when I've been doing it with him for so long.
Wow.
But he's gone home with God. God's called him home. And I just truly thank him for the man that he became.
Wow. That's rough. Well, John, we thank you. Because not only were you an impactful person to the community, but you were also a very impactful person to the pantry, and also a favorable and fellow cousin. And so, if you were here, we just want to say thank you for the lives that you've touched, for the people that you've impacted, and for the change that you've given to the world. We thank you. Wow. I'm actually stunned by this story. There's really no words that you can really say or put into that could describe all the different levels, and even just putting together all the detailed things that you've been through in life. Unless you've lived it and experienced it, no one will really ever understand your journey.
No, but you see, I truly believe that God allows you to go through anything that you go through so that you can be a testimony to someone else. And instead of me saying to someone that has seizures, I understand what you're going through, I can truly say, I know what you're going through. If someone's sitting in a wheelchair, and instead of me just going up to you and saying, I know how you feel sitting in that chair, I truly know how you feel because I've been there. I have had a house fire myself. So when I used to work for the Red Cross, And I would go up to the clients that have had a fire, and I would literally say to them, I know how you feel. And people would hate you say, I know how you feel, if you really don't. But I really did. So I really believe everything that I went through in life is so that I can help someone else that's going through the same thing.
So I hear you have a pantry.
Yes. Love Thy Neighbor Food Pantry.
Love Thy Neighbor Food Pantry. Let's talk about that. What is that and what is it about? Like, how did you even get started?
Well, I got started out of the driveway of my house. I figured, because I had some of my neighbors come up to me sometimes and say, because they knew I went to church and they knew what kind of person I was, and they said, do I know somewhere that they could get help with food? And I said, well, let me find out for you. And I reached out to a couple food stores, and I started laying out some things in my driveway. Because some food stores said, well, I will give this to you if you are trying to help your neighbors out. So I connected up with the one food store called Sprouts down on Boston Street.
Okay.
And I started getting all kinds of produce and meats and different things from them. And I would lay it all out in my driveway, and I started helping 15 to 20 people a week. And it felt good, helping 15 to 20 people a week. And then it started growing. The next week, I started helping 50 to 80 people. Then the following week, it started going. I looked at my wife. I said, I got to find more means of donations. And I got to go into the courts and file to be able to get my permit and be able to get my 501c3. And she said, you got to do all that to run out of this driveway? I said, we can't keep it out of this driveway because I got too many people in this community that need help.
Right.
And she said, well, and I said, well, God is calling me to do this. So you can't say no to God. And so I started researching, seeing what I had to do to start a nonprofit. So I started filing all the papers with the courts. I started looking around for a building. And I started writing my own grants. I first got a building in Dundalk. I started to share that with someone. I was sharing it with someone that was running a food pantry one day of the week, and I was running another day of the week. But we had a little bit of complications there. So I went out looking for another building, and I was literally in the food store one day, and I was talking to someone in line, talking to them about how good God's been to me, telling them it's nothing but God. And this person that was behind me, I ended up paying for their food, their groceries. And there was a pastor of a church that was coming right past me when I did that. He looked at me and said, young man, what made you pay for it? I said, God was leading me, God was letting me know that this family behind me really needed some help. And I said, I started somewhat to run my own food pantry. And I said that I lost the one building because there was complications with the people I partnered with. And he said, well, I just lost a food pantry out of the back of my church that they actually pulled out because they didn't have enough money to keep it running, and they didn't have enough donations of food to keep it running. So I went over to his church with him, talked to him. We sat down and talked for a while, and he showed me where the food pantry was, and we made a deal, and I had been there ever since. They had small amount. They had not small amount. They had 100 to 200 people or so every week. We have thousands. I have over almost 13,000 people that we just fed this past Tuesday.
Brother, you have a very, very inspiring story. And we just want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your oh my gosh, sharing your testimony with us. And not only that, sharing your heart. Because that is what God looks for. That is what makes change. That is what people see. And it's because of that, you are a light to the world. So we appreciate you on today, and we just want to thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
All right.
We Love Thy Neighbor Food Pantry. We are located at 155 Orville Road. That's in Essex, Maryland, 21221, right behind the Wise Grocery Store on Eastern Boulevard. We're open every Tuesday from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Don't have any special requirements, don't have to have any ID, nothing required. If you're hungry, God says feed you. So we're here for you.